Rahul has always presented himself with a sense of informality. I think that informality of Rahul Gandhi yesterday resonated with people. And yes, they made it interesting. They made it a showstopper kind of a show with confettis flying around. Gen Z likes that. Still, I think he has a long fight within his party. I think that's the second thing that Rahul Gandhi at some point needs to turn around to look at his own party. What is it going to do? Because if you look at the bickerings within the Congress party, I mean, it is not a party that one gets confidence to the kind of language Rahul uses. BJP has stopped thinking of winning elections legitimately. They now know that their model is exhausted. Modi's appeal and his graph have drastically fallen.
But do you think that education might become a huge electoral issue, though 2029 elections? Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Rahul Gandhi's Kota student convention has become the talk of the town. At least on the social media, people are projecting Rahul Gandhi as the next hero of the Gen Z. People are saying that Rahul Gandhi has become the voice of Gen Z. Now, if you look at the show, which was put up yesterday, it is two things. One is the format, the way it was packaged, and second is the substance and the content of it, what Rahul Gandhi said. Now, I'm going to come to the packaging and the format first. Now, look at this. This is the grand entry of Rahul Gandhi. You can see confettis, you can see buntings, you can see the pyrotechnics display, the fireworks, almost on the lines of what you see in the conventions in America, in the national conventions in America. It almost gave you a feel that you were in Illinois or Kentucky or somewhere, and you're following one of those conventions in America. So this was a kind of a presidential style of packaging, which was given to the Rahul Gandhi event. And this was just an interaction with the students. He, at the very outset, said that this is not a political event. I am not going to talk about politics. I will only talk to the students. But this was just the grand entry. Now let's show you how the event ended, because those are the moments which will show you how Rahul Gandhi was trying to connect with the Gen Z who had gathered there. There were students from class 12. There were NEET aspirants. There were students of the who were wanting to give exams for the UGC. So this was the grand entry I was talking about. And then in between came this presentation slides where he was talking about the Kota factory, where he's talking about the extortionist model of the education system. He says that it's a rejection, which Modi government, it tells you about the rejection system. And this was the moment I was talking about, which is there on your screen, the selfie moment of Rahul Gandhi. The young boy who was the master of ceremonies said that we are Gen Z and we have extra demands, so would you oblige us with a selfie? And then towards the end of the event, Rahul Gandhi posed a selfie with the young audience which was there. But after that, what happened? You could see adverse comments coming from the BJP trollers, even from the BJP leaders like Sudhanshu Trivedi, who said that what was the need for Rahul Gandhi to distract the students when they were about to give their NEET exams, which is scheduled for 21st. So the big question we are asking is, one is the packaging, the format, the look and feel of the show, and the other is the content. How much did Rahul Gandhi resonate, and can this Gen Z moment of Rahul Gandhi translate into votes for Congress? Joining me this evening is author and professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Ajay Gudavarti, who tracks the social and the political movements very, very carefully and closely. Thank you so much, Professor Ajay, for joining. And my first question to you is, what was your feeling when you saw the rapturous moment yesterday at the Kota rally amidst the buntings, the fireworks, the confetti. Did it also make you feel as if you were watching a presidential style of an address?
I think, Neelu, the important thing was that Rahul reached out to the aggrieved sections, where there was, they're being unheard. There's a state that is not responsive to your demands. The Abhijit Apte, he has been, Dipte, he was assaulted in the rally before. So whoever is ready to dissent, raise some legitimate questions, the only response that has been coming from this regime has been one of excesses. Whether it was farmers' movement, whether it was later students' protests, whether it is NEET protests, a whole range of protests that have been happening in this nation, they are going unheard of. Parliamentarians are not heard in the parliament. So this was, I think, where Rahul Gandhi's attempt to directly reach out the aggrieved sections, giving them a voice. It was not Rahul Gandhi speaking, but it is this lakhs of Gen Z, their concerns speaking. Since yesterday I've been receiving messages on my phone saying that these are our concerns for the first time somebody is raising, because system has become so opaque. Nobody knows so now the system is working. And Rahul, I think, made a dent. He really culled out that data which showed that the amount you're investing is exactly the amount the budgetary allocation of the union government. Therefore, he's saying, well, education needs to be a government responsibility. It's a public good. States need to take. Look at China, how much they're investing. 400 billions they invest in education system. And today you have a government here which is rightly calling an extortionist government, that it's pulling out money from your pockets. And I think my hunch is there is a link between this and the paper leakage, because if you go over the process all over again, it's all over again, you earn so much of money because you again have to pay the fee. There's not even a fee exemption when there's a paper leak. You have to pay again for each paper re-evaluation, 25 rupees per question. So this whole system of education being reduced to crass commercialized business model, which is the Gujarat model of education, I think Rahul Gandhi called out that process, and that resonated with Gen Z.
Of course, no, but the manner, the way the entire event was packaged. Do you think that it was deliberately done, or rather explored by the Congress party so that the Gen Z can relate? And in that sense, do you think that that was a success? Because Rahul Gandhi did capture those moments by which Gen Z could relate to him.
Yeah, there are two things to it, Neelu. Rahul has always presented himself with a sense of informality. He's always in a t-shirt, unlike Mr. Modi's larger than life, media managed, narrative managed image.
Yesterday he wasn't. Yesterday he was not there in the t-shirt.
Yesterday, but that informality, I think Rahul has always maintained that informality, which comes with the message that politics is not about power. Politics is not about amassing unaccountable power and look larger than life and look like a godly divine. Politics is about common people and their problem. I think that informality of Rahul Gandhi yesterday resonated with people. And yes, they made it interesting. They made it a showstopper kind of a show with confettis flying around. Gen Z likes that. You need some performance. He was going to the Gen Z form of modes of interaction. They like that social media interaction. So there's nothing wrong. It's a good performance to say that he's one among the Gen Z. But the important point was giving an alternate message of informality, that he's somebody who's accessible, somebody who's thinking politician, somebody who is deeply concerned, because there are so many who are committing suicides. I mean, this state should stand up. Whatever you might be, your ideological leanings, your left, right, whatever. But young people in a nation which is called a young nation with 65%, if they begin to commit suicides, somebody has to take responsibility. Farmers committed suicide. Farmers, to 750 farmers died, no response. You have students today dying, no response. So this kind of an opaqueness linked to a ruthless model of social Darwinism, that survival of the fittest, that there will be no justice. Nobody is going to respond to your problems. You'll have to survive it on your own. And that's the Kota model. So these are all interlinked problems, right? The nature of politics you're projecting, which is ruthless, survival of the fittest. Quota model is a crass commercialized model. You pump in money and you then pump out money once you are in the profession. This is a crass model which is making us very insensitive, socially indifferent, thinking that power conning others is legitimate. Look at the way MPs are being bought and traded. So everything being reduced, a crude, crass trading model. An entire social life is becoming a trade. That's what is the Dhanda model of Gujarat. And that model, I think Rahul Gandhi is questioning through compassion, accountability, and the philosophy of education. The amazing point that he raised, that education should give new dreams. That example he gave of those 5 girls, he asked them, what do you want to be? Each one said doctor, engineer, MBA. But when he offered them his ride in his helicopter, they came back and said pilots. So if you expose Gen Z to new things, life has to be an adventure at their age. They have to look forward to innovate, invent. That's how they contribute. And when he was leaving after the selfie, he said, good luck for your exams, settle well and serve the nation. That's how you serve the nation, by exploring, not by submitting. The Gujarat and Mr. Modi's model is complete silence, complete submission, living in fear, no dignity and uncivility. I think this is an alternate model that Rahul is presenting.
But do you think that Rahul really made BJP insecure? Because many quarters were discussing the fact that yesterday was a day when Uddhav Thackeray's party was in for a second split. And by BJP's logic, Om Birla, whose constituency is Kota, should have been there in New Delhi when the MPs were submitting the letter. But he was busy supervising Rahul and keeping a close watch on what was happening with Rahul Gandhi's event, and he was at Kota. So, and also today, Sudhanshu Trivedi says that Rahul Gandhi is distracting the students by doing an event like this just 72 hours before the NEET re-exam on 21st June. How powerful are these allegations made by BJP? Do they make sense that Rahul Gandhi was trying to distract the Gen Z or the youths with this kind of an event?
The very fact, Neelu, mainstream media began to cover. You never saw mainstream media giving this kind of a coverage. If you had watched yesterday's mainstream news channels, all of them covered this, and one of the shows said that let's see where this movement goes. So that shows that, mainstream media that is completely biased to one side, which is corporate controlled mainstream media, if they're compelled to cover, which shows that this is a turning point, right? Now, they are now trying to pick up that there is a groundswell for Rahul Gandhi, and this is here to stay if Rahul plays his cards carefully, I think. And also, you should remember that economy is not doing well. Corporates are very unhappy with the Modi model because we are having a stagnant economy. There's no money being pumped into the economy. There's no purchasing power. So a whole lot of issues are coming together, and we know what's happening on the international front with Mr. Modi and Trump's relation, what has been spanning, in the last few months. So there is an overall discontent that is brewing, but there is no channeling because the system is so opaque and unresponsive. I think Rahul at the right point is throwing in his towel and saying that, look, this is where I stand with you guys. I'm ready to articulate those issues. And therefore, there has to be now a debate on alternate model of development. What does Rahul Gandhi really stand for? And therefore, I think this is also a new point for Congress party. Now, Congress party suddenly is looking more youthful. The point we were making, another show of yours, I think from the grand old party, it is a brand new party. I think that shift from grand old to brand new.
Right. No, when you say that from the grand old party, it becomes the brand new party, then there are lots of questions as to what happens to the old guard of the Congress. Will they accept this? How will they adapt themselves to this kind of a change? Rahul, we've seen evolving, and there are lots of changes in Rahul. And over the period of time, we've seen this transition of Rahul Gandhi. The way he started the Bharat Jodo Yatra, then he started interacting with a cross section of the society, whether it was coolies, whether it was the bus conductors, or a whole lot of people. And now suddenly it gravitates towards the students, making it into a powerful movement. And remember what BJP made out of him, that he looked like a pappu and this, that. That's what BJP's campaign was all about. And surely they cannot use the same term now for Rahul Gandhi. But if you say that this is a turning point for Rahul Gandhi, then after the Kota rally, how do you see Rahul Gandhi in a new avatar. And the big question which I was asking, that if it's a grand old party, to a transition from a grand old party to the brand new party, will the old guard of Congress be forced to toe Rahul Gandhi's line?
No, one's heart at times goes out to Rahul Gandhi because he reminds me of Rabindranath Tagore's Ekla Chalo. Ekla Chalo, Ekla Chalo. He's almost alone even within the party. Because party, I think Rahul is definitely trying to give a new push to the entire party's social vision. Being grand old party, it has its own disadvantages. You have a lot of burden of the past. You have the old hats who are being, were socialized in a completely different set of ethics. Congress had a long period of misadventure with neoliberal reforms, privatizing things, which they have now realized under Rahul Gandhi's leadership, that's not the model. And Rahul is not only questioning the economic model, but also its social consequences, the uncivility, the lack of compassion. I think those are things that really trouble him. Yes, he is unable to still, I think he has a long fight within his party. I think that's the second thing that Rahul Gandhi at some point needs to turn around to look at his own party. What is he going to do? Because if you look at the bickerings within the Congress party, I mean, it is not a party that one gets confidence to the kind of language Rahul uses, language of resistance, for instance. I mean, Congress doesn't look like really a party that is, will stand on its feet and resist. Because there's so much of, 80% of my assessment in Congress is they've exhaust themselves in inner fighting. Somehow they've simply lost that organizational structure. There is no incentivized system, the promotion system. There's a whole lot of, I think Rahul now, once he has set this agenda, I think two things that he will have to do. One, set this new agenda. This is really the time for him to stop responding to Modi and critiquing, but set a new agenda. What is his agenda for the next 10 years is something people will look forward to. I think now people have opened up. They're looking forward for alternatives. That's one agenda. Two, I think he has to set an organizational structure in place. This kind of bickering with absolutely no discipline, so much of internal strife, old and new, they're not able to make it. The transition, all these things, I think now demand Rahul's attention. That how he is going to do that is, I think, a very, very deep task. Because literally, from top to bottom, there is never a time that I spent with a congressman. If you meet, it's 5 minutes, they'll talk about social issues. Rest of the time is about internal politics, who belongs to which bloc. So Rahul himself is very tired with this. Many people close to Rahul's aides tell me that he's simply disinterested. Therefore, he's gone it alone. Like Gandhiji, he's like on a Dandi march now on his own. I hope now the old lot turns around and joins it.
No, but when you compare Rahul Gandhi with Mahatma Gandhi in terms of vision or what he thinks of how he's going to develop the nation may be the same. But then Rahul Gandhi is in a totally different position. Here in front of him is a guerrilla style of politics of the BJP, which is eating into the entire system, the social and the political and the economic fabric. It is almost ingesting everything into itself. And therefore, if Rahul Gandhi just talks about the larger vision of how to develop the nation, then the biggest question is that how does he win the elections? He can implement his agenda only when he comes to power. So the big question is that he may have become the hero of Gen Z, or the Gen Z may have started relating with him. But can all this translate into votes for Congress in 2029, Ajay?
That's a very, very, I think you have asked $1 million question, and all the buck stops at this particular question. I think Rahul's own understanding, as I gather, Neelu, is that he thinks if there is a mass movement and a momentum towards Congress, rest will fall in place. Though others within the Congress, senior leaders tell me that they are of the opinion that you'll have to build a bottom-up organizational structure, then Congress becomes electorally viable. But second, you are seeing what's happening in the last 2 weeks, the buying up of MPs, whether in Maharashtra, whether it is in Bengal, and now today's news says that even in SP, 20 MPs are in touch. So BJP is on a different path. So you'll have to now see this wedge that is emerging in Indian politics, Neelu. BJP has stopped thinking of winning elections legitimately. They now know that their model is exhausted. Modi's appeal and his graph have drastically fallen. They cannot improve their social base beyond that 10-15% of their core vote. So that's BJP. So the BJP strategy now really is how to win, how to be in the winning seat in spite of this falling image and losing social base, right? So they are going in for all extra constitutional, extra institutional methods of trading MPs. They are perhaps wanting to have a two-thirds majority by buying up MPs and then go for delimitation. So their idea is 2029 to do gerrymandering and going to delimitation and then win accordingly. So that's their strategy. Now, the opposition strategy, that's where Rahul in his address to the opposition said two things: resistance and unity. This is Rahul's methods, but that leaves still a gap. How are you going to overcome institutional, how are you going to overcome constitutional posts? I mean, he made some grand revelation by saying that even Mr. Ganesh, CEC is in touch with him. People are giving in information. One does not know whether it's a psychological warfare or he really meant that there is a change of heart within those holding the constitutional bodies, that what BJP is doing is now becoming extremely unviable. How far can BJP go into this extra constitutional path is one pitched against Rahul's social momentum. So there is still that gap. We do not know how this is going to translate into a viable electoral process if the entire electoral process itself is fudged. So we don't know how that gap is going to be bridged. What is the information that Rahul Gandhi personally has? How confident he is that this is going to translate into a viable. First, we need to have a viable, fair electoral process. Then comes an electoral victory. How far are we going to witness fair electoral process? I mean, Bengal, you have all kinds of rumors floating around, including those 4,000 EVMs burning up. So one does not know how this is going to happen even if the opposition, entire opposition has a unity program. How are they overcoming, the winning? Once they have to win, after winning, they're buying up MPs. There's another new challenge. This trading model does not stop with education. The model you have in the electoral process and the parliamentary process too. So how are they going to find solution to all of this? As I see, Rahul Gandhi, I think, is now not too invested in these problems. He seems to be thinking to build a social momentum, build a political momentum, build a new legitimacy consent for his agenda. Then perhaps there will be a time when he might turn his attention to some of these things.
Right. But do you think that education might become a huge electoral issue, though 2029 elections still far away? It's just 2026. And so by 2029, what is the guarantee that this education mess will remain a big issue?
Yes, I mean, momentum, in electoral politics, is very flattering. It takes a lot of energy to maintain this, this kind of energy till 2029. But in other elections, you see, I watched the Telangana elections very closely, and the way Congress won was by turning the youth opinion. That, it was the youth, very interestingly, that went around campaigning with their families, saying that, you might get welfare policies, you might get pensions, you might get, social old age pension, but it's our future.
Similar kind of a thing was seen in Tamil Nadu, where younger generations are telling their parents to vote for TVK.
Absolutely. Because old generation, I think, has a one set way of looking at the reality, communally polarized. It's through the regional identities, it's through their ethnic identities. I think it is Gen Z, if they are convinced and if they're in a big way rallying behind Rahul Gandhi, I think that will be a game changer, because then the parents often tend to fall in line with, they might not listen to you and me, but once their children come and say it's about their future, and in India, nothing matters more to parents than children's future. If they are convinced, and for that, Rahul Gandhi has to campaign, keep up that campaign. That's the problem. Does he have a party machinery which can continue? He can do these big events, but what happens after that? I mean, you often see that there is absolutely no follow-up action. Bharat Jodo Yatra also gave a huge momentum, but there was no follow-up action. There is a crescendo, then there's a third, then there's again a silence, there is a lull that Congress party goes into. With the BJP kind of a high voltage party, high optics, they are full of energies, they have cadre base, RSS works round the clock, there are many other advantages. They are flushed with money, they have control over institutions. With that kind of a machinery, when you're fighting, what is the game plan that Rahul Gandhi really has to maintain this energy till 2029? What is the interesting fact that one observes Rahul closely, Neelu, is that 2004 to 14, when Congress was in power, Rahul look like a disinterested politician, because I think power does not really interest him. Just walking in the power machineries, power corridors is not something that really inspires him. I think he has come into his self when he's in this mode of resistance. I think this idea of the analogies he gives of Shiva overcoming fear, a deeply existential experience that Rahul, I think that's the inspiring part of it. And that's where I think he's into his real elements. I think that's where he is Gatso with his full energy. That momentum, if he's able to meet with a follow-up by party act, that how is he going to get that party act together? And if
That's the million-dollar question now. No, but Ajay, that is the million-dollar question, and everybody has doubts about it. That Rahul Gandhi is going on improvising himself. He's going on evolving his campaigns in different formats, in different ways. But can the party, the grand old party, can it keep pace with Rahul's dreams or aspirations or whatever he's thinking? That is the biggest point. Because until unless we still do not see the build up of the Congress organization at that level, at the pace at which Rahul Gandhi is speaking about, what he wants to do.
Yes, I think that's the key point. He has to turn his attention at some point, because almost all so organizations within Congress work at cross purposes. I mean, I've also got to see it very close hand. Youth Congress doesn't work with NSUI. NSUI does not want to work with other organizations. So all organizations actually work at cross purposes. Individuals within the party are terribly insecure. Each one does a lot of gatekeeping. They don't allow new talent to come in. I think Rahul at some point has to turn his attention to the Congress organizational structure, address his MPs, MLAs, and going down to his organizational activities, putting in place, arresting this insecurity. The Congress, everyone feels orphanized. They enter Congress, you meet them, they say, I've been working for 10 years, but I don't get my due recognition. This is the overall lingering feeling of almost all activists within Congress. Rahul Gandhi has to, at certain point, put some white paper on the organizational structure. He has to bring out a white paper thinking how to incentivize, how to make time-bound promotions, how to recognize due work. That's one huge part. The other, of course, is also social vision. Rahul Gandhi, even in some other conversations, he pointed to this, that lot of social thinking within the Congress goes more towards the right than to the left of center. So he has the other big challenge of social vision. How are you going to inspire people who are not progressive enough, inclusive enough, egalitarian enough like Rahul Gandhi? Because most complaints from about Rahul Gandhi come not from outside now. Outside people have stopped complaining. It is from within the congressmen. They feel he's too radical for times. He's too much of egalitarian. He's talking of Dalit representation. He says don't call them minorities, call them Muslims. He talks the language of resistance. He gives the examples of Fidel Castro. So Rahul is going at a different pace altogether. But his party is still that, he's like a big luggage he's carrying. How is that transformation? At some point, he has to get a team together. And I don't know why that is not working, why they are unable to do that. Because there's so many people I find, Neelu, outside who are willing to work, if not join the Congress directly, but they're willing to work because they see some viable alternative in Rahul Gandhi more than the Congress party. But how he is able to translate that inspiration into an institutional structure, and why he has not been able to give any attention in the last 10 years. Absolutely, I think that has been his weak point. That's one weak point he needs to plug. That, he has to take his party seriously himself first and see that, bring like-minded people together, put some structure in place, stop this infighting, incentivize people's involvement, and tell them about a long history of social vision. That Congress now has to move from a party to a movement. People have to be invested in social vision, not merely this wheeler dealer kind of thing. You have seen in Gujarat what's happening. The wheeler dealer kind of thing. Gujarat Congress is simply not able to respond to BJP's because they're simply bought over. There's a lot of money trading that happens. So there's a lot that happens. Rahul being alone doing all this is a big challenge. So while it's inspiring, while it's a big relief for many of us to watch someone in mainstream politics speaking such unconventional language, but mainstream politics being what it is. In Sitaram Yechury's condolence meeting, Rahul made an important point. He said, politics brings the worst in human beings, rarely the best. So he is one among, therefore he says he is like Shiva swallowing a lot of poison. So we hope him the best that, he should keep swallowing the poison like Neelkanta for all of us so that we have a better future in times to come.
One last question, Professor Ajay, that do you feel that this Gen Z moment for Rahul as well as for Congress, it's actually a chance or an opportunity for both Rahul and for the Congress party to break from the old shackles, just redefine themselves in a novel manner and present themselves as a new alternative? Because all this while there were allegations, oh, it's an old party full of old politicians who can't think new, who can't aspire for the future generation, and which is why Modi always got a chance to talk about 2047 Viksit Bharat, which makes no sense. So can Rahul Gandhi fill this vacuum at this point of time?
Absolutely. That was the need of the hour, Old conventional politics, what all goes on in that old conventional politics, I think Modi's model exhausted. What Congress was at 25%, Modi scaled it up to 100%. All the dandlis that happens, within the mainstream politics. I think India needed a fresh breath, fresh air. And I think this Gen Z movement will, it may not be a revolutionary change that one would expect, but it is definitely a fresh air. That where you want to break away from that old format of old politics, everything being done only for election purposes, no discussion on social issues. Therefore, it was a fresh breath of Congress suddenly looked more youthful. That, Rahul Gandhi also raising the question of philosophy of education, taking a strong stand against crass commercialization of education. I think this is really a new fresh breath, and I sense that Gen Z is a starting point which will buy into this argument, and then they might try and expand that, influencing other sections. So undoubtedly, if Rahul is able to continue this momentum, I think this is the right momentum for him to both set the agenda and change Congress image. It is no longer the grand old party. It is now a futuristic party. RSS, BJP have colonized our past. Let Congress occupy the future. What is our future? We are done with the past. I think the future is what awaits and interests all of us. What is the future for next 2 generations of people? What is the new experiment? Because India is on the global stage. Now, and one cannot be only to, being Vishwaguru, all of that empty talk, but concretely, how are we going to expand economy, opportunities, education opportunities, health opportunities? This is the language, and it's time Rahul sets a more concrete agenda now.
Do you see the possibility now, and is the time ripe now to compare exactly the two, the Modi and Rahul? Modi talks vacuum. Modi talks of a hollow state of being a Vishwaguru. The economy is failing. The foreign policy is failing. On every front, we are failing. And then you have Rahul Gandhi, who's holding a mirror of hope. Can we compare the two at this point of time? And can we say that Rahul Gandhi is holding the future of the country brightly?
Yes, I think if Modi's model will begin to look irrelevant, we don't even need to discuss this, because the emptiness of that model has proven itself in the last 15 years. It's big talk of Vishwaguru, Viksit Bharat, Achhe Din, Atmanirbhar, slogan after slogan. I think now we all know. But people now know that Modi is an exhausted model. RSS too does not have a cultural agenda. Triple Talaq, 370, Ram Mandir are done and dusted. So what next? I think there is a huge vacuum, and the vacuum is now it's not about reinterpreting past. It is about looking toward the future. What is the new future that awaits India? And there is nobody. You are seeing the plight of regional parties. They have no whiff of what is in the air. They are busy struggling, trading. They talk the same old conventional party language. I think Rahul Gandhi, being the unconventional politician, informal politician, unassuming, talking the language of compassion, talking the language of mohabbat, I think he's really prepared himself to launch at this point. And this is the right point where now they need to take this seriously. No, it's not now just optics. Get down to paperwork, do some concrete, promise some time-bound agenda. Now, this is what Congress will do if it comes to power in 29. By 30, what do you want to do? 32, what do you want to do? What are your new economic policies, your social vision, your political alternative? I think if they start, then the mood of the nation will change in terms of not critiquing Modi, but discussing this new alternative. people will be slowly drawn into discussing, okay, Rahul is saying this, then the critique, it will begin with the critique. It's unviable. What Rahul is saying is unviable. This is empty talk. Let people critique you, but then you will be the one setting the agenda, not simply responding to what Mr. Modi does. If you have seen Modi's recent statement, he's come back and given a statement on demography. He's talking about Gen Z. It was his recent statement that he gave. So that means Rahul is now propelling, Modi is forced to respond. I think this is the attempt Congress under Rahul should give. They can only do that if they seriously get that agenda right. What is that people want? With the farmers, workers. He has been meeting whole range of section of society. That he meets auto drivers, fishermen, coolies, farmers. So I think it is agenda of all these people now you need to put on table and address all of them and bring them together. That part, I think, and then socialize them into that agenda for next 2 years. Say that this is what Congress will stand for. Public education, budgetary allocations will be better. Better health facilities we will cover. Better employment we will generate. Assurance to farmers. Assurance to gig workers. I think this is the new social democratic, social welfareist agenda. If Rahul can put it in place, I don't see any reason why there will be a groundswell that can counter the institutional machinations that BJP indulges in. I think all these things work only when BJP has certain groundswell. If that completely changes, I don't think even these extra constitutional institutional methods can cover or can be an insurance for their downfall.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Professor Ajay, for a lovely conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.